Hi everyone and welcome to Green Monk TV, the Smart Grid Heavy Hitter series. My guest on the show today is Tom Ayers from Tropos Networks. Tom, will start off with just a discussion around smart grids in general, with the amount of money that's being thrown at smart grids these days from the Recovery Act. Seems like the definition of smart grid has become very, very broad. So let's try and narrow it a little. How do you guys in Tropos, what's your kind of definition of a smart grid? What do you think a smart grid is?
Well, I think everyone for some time may have had their own definition, but I believe the industry is beginning to come together around, at least here in North America, around the version of the definition given by the Department of Energy. That it really has three pieces that it comprises, and that is distributed intelligence, advanced control systems, and broadband communication. And by bringing those three together, it really affords a power utility the opportunity to significantly improve energy efficiency.
Why do we need smart grids, and what kind of energy efficiency gains will we get from them?
Well, I'll just use some of the ROIs that our customers that we're engaged with right now, Tom, are telling us that by helping smooth out some of the expensive peak cycles that they have to worry about, especially in the warmer climates in the summer, if they can simply improve the energy efficiency of their operations by 5%, it gives them the opportunity to postpone building another power plant for maybe as long as a decade. There are other utilities who think they can get closer to 10% efficiency savings. And again, what you're talking about is spending perhaps millions of dollars to accomplish this, but the postponement of $1 to $2 billion investment in new power plants by doing that. So we see a very real world applicability that we're seeing from the power utilities of what they see, near term of what their benefits are going to be from energy efficiency. I think longer term, the CEOs that we've had the opportunity to meet with as well describe to us, they believe a significant opportunity with energy efficiency is to lessen America's dependence upon foreign oil, which is certainly not only expensive, but as we've seen in the last few years, unpredictable from a pricing standpoint. So if they can bring predictability to their business model and improve efficiencies, they think the consumers long-term will actually pay a smaller increase in prices as perhaps if things were to continue along the way they are now.
You in Tropos, you're a little bit different from people I've had on the show before. You're into wireless infrastructure. Aren't there kind of security issues around that?
There are, Tom. We are a very mature startup, and although somewhat relatively new to the smart grid space, we've been shipping products to municipalities and cities around the world now for almost 6 years. So we have over 750 customers. We've had deployments in 30 different countries. Our IP is rock solid. We have 25 patents today and a number more in process. So what we're able to offer to utilities, whether it be an MOU, an IOU, a co-op, or a state-run utility, what we're able to actually offer is proven in the field in terms of networking. So issues like security as an example. We have solved that problem with some of our IP, as well as being FIPS certified in terms of what we're able to offer. And some of the typical issues that you would have with wireless outdoor broadband networks, we've been able to address as lessons learned as we've gone through this 5-6 years of experience of installing all of these networks. So for the past 2 years, we've been able to measure 5 nines reliability as an example. We can obviously have as much security as a utility chooses to have. And those are some of the facts and figures. I think overall, what we've been able to deliver to the market for a while is spot on with what we see most utilities wanting to have. And that is they want to control their own network. They want a private network that they can manage and protect. And they want to be able to run multiple applications over one single network, whether those applications be very high bandwidth or very low latency, like some parts of distribution automation. They would prefer to have one network privately that they control. That's the value proposition that we've been working on for many years now successfully, and what we're bringing now to the power utilities on a global basis.
You mentioned some of the patents you have and things like that around your solution, Tom, but does that mean you're using proprietary protocols, or are you going with more open protocols to be standards compliant?
We are a IP-based company and adhere to all IP-based standards. We're very open. We adhere to all open standards as well, and all of our networks adhere to open standards. That's not only our history, but where we're going as a company as well. The technology, the patents that we leverage, Tom, is really meant to take and industrialize, if you will, and make mission critical strength these open standards around areas of interference prevention, security, and other things as well. So not only is our background being an open company, it's certainly our direction of where we're going down the road.
Okay, and are there any kind of smart grid rollouts that you would point to as being kind of model rollouts, best practice? Anything you would say if you were to roll out a smart grid tomorrow, this is how you should do it?
Well, I can really only speak to the ones that we've been involved with to this point, but we're very pleased with the deployment that's underway currently in Abu Dhabi. The ADWEA, the Abu Dhabi Water and Electric Authority, there are implementing a 1.5 million meter deployment in support of their power utility business, and have chosen, and we are being deployed as the network there. And what we have learned in Abu Dhabi is the fact that these are real applications that can return a significant benefit to the power utility, and a network that we plan to finish later this year. Here in the U.S., we've seen just as much interest in customers we're engaged with as distribution automation applications as the typical smart metering or demand response. And this is where perhaps a state PUC, Public Utility Commission, may have different flavors that they want to see progressed as well. But in terms of best practices, I think the model that we see most power utilities doing internationally is to start with a very small scope, maybe a square kilometer or a square mile, to prove out the technology. And usually it's in a very difficult location. And from that, it may go citywide, and then from that, multiple cities, so that they take this on in small steps along the way and learn from the deployment process about how to do that. The initial 6 months usually takes some starts and stops along the way, but typically after a few months, best practices then begin to take over, and these deployments turn into more like a factory that becomes very quickly deployed, and getting from issuing the bill to generating cash back to utility, that something can be done.
Tom, that's been fantastic. Thanks a million for coming on the show.